Hello, everybody. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you happen to be sitting right now. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Mike Gibb. I run accountsrecovery.net, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar on where to find quality job candidates today. Even though the COVID-19 pandemic has caused the number of unemployed workers to rise, companies, especially those in the arm industry, are still having a difficult time attracting qualified candidates. Even with the option of working from home, identifying and hiring good workers has never been tougher. Today in this webinar, which is being sponsored by TCN, we have a panel of experts here to share what is working for them to help find job candidates. Before introducing the panel, I want to take a quick second and talk about the accountsrecovery.net Slack channel. I just dropped a link in the chat window for you. If you haven't joined the Slack channel already, really not sure what you're waiting for at this point. Doesn't cost you anything, completely free. We're up at about 600 members now who are using the channel to stay in touch with one another, to get answers to questions, to network, and just to sort of keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in the industry. We just finished our first annual Logo Madness tournament, in which State Collection, where we have Judy Gray from State today, was crowned the winner with the best logo in the arm industry. So there's a lot going on in the channel. I encourage everybody to join if you haven't done so already. Now, let me introduce you to today's panelists. Gordon Beck is the president and COO of Valor Intelligent Processing, headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, with offices in Dallas and Tampa, specializing in BPO and third-party collections. Gordon has more than 2 decades of experience with expertise in customer service and collections for the country's premier wireless, landline, cable, satellite, internet, VoIP, tolling, and financial institutions. Gordon's an award-winning speaker, motivator, and educator in the collections and credit risk industry, who takes great pride in the incredible culture he established for his employees in his call centers throughout the United States. Megan Bryant is the Director of Operations and Client Support at Credit Collection Partners. She started as a collector at the company 9 years ago and has since moved her way up to her current position. Megan is also responsible for all employee incentives and all operations within the company. Judy Gray is the Chief Human Resources Officer for State, overseeing the HR team. She joined the company in 2014, bringing 20 years of experience. She's responsible for all facets of human resources, including recruitment and retention, performance management, benefits, personnel-related policies and procedures, as well as team member communications and internal events. Since joining State, Judy has led the HR team through a tremendous growth, employing innovative recruiting, and employee engagement practices to attract the highest quality employees in one of the tightest labor markets in recent history. Our format is going to be a panel discussion today. We encourage everybody to submit questions, and we'll get to them during the course of our discussion. To submit a question, please either submit it through the Q&A tab on your Zoom webinar control panel, or you can send it to us through the chat window. All right, let's start our conversation. Let's start with just sort of establishing a baseline for each of you. We've got companies in different parts of the country, so I'm curious, are each of you finding it easier or harder to find qualified job candidates today, maybe compared to before COVID hit sort of last March? And we'll go alphabetically today. So Gordon, you get to go first.
Well, I think it's no surprise that we've all heard on local and national news that there's a labor shortage. Never thought I'd hear that. And to answer your question directly, in all of my sites, it has been very challenging. We have done many things that I'm happy to share throughout today's panel, and we have, for the most part, been able to come out with the numbers that we need, but it has come at a great expense and a great deal of work to get there. I've been in the business 24 years now, never seen it this hard to get a class of 50 people, for example. So yes, it's very difficult.
Oh, excellent. Megan?
Yeah, I would agree with, exactly what Gordon said, and part of the problem is, you can find somebody qualified. You can find somebody that maybe isn't your particular qualified. You can train them. You can train anybody to be qualified for a position. The problem we're finding is there's nobody even coming in and wanting to be trained. Like there's nobody qualified or not qualified. It's hard to find anybody that needs to work right now.
Judy, has that been your experience at State for the past year or so?
Yeah, we're challenged. This is the toughest labor market that I've ever worked in. And we're real challenged to get even resumes from our recruiting resources. And then when we do reach out to those resumes, to really persuade them that we're a great place to work. So it's very challenging.
We've got a question in that's come in already, and it was something I was having a conversation with a general manager at a collection agency today, and talking about getting applicants, but really having problems getting people to show up for the interviews. So the question we have is that we have a no-show, no-call rate of 2/3, sorry, for in-person interviews. Is that normal now? Is that what the three of you are seeing in terms of the attendance rate for in-person interviews or interviews?
Yeah, it's almost like it sounds like a good idea. Yeah, we're gonna get a job. We're gonna go to this interview, everything, and then all of a sudden, oh, never mind. We'll have 5 or 7 a day line up, and the same exact thing. You've got 3 or 4 that don't even show up. And we keep very good records on our resumes. So we know the ones because they'll try again. Oh yeah, I'd like to come interview the next hiring round. Well, we put a stop on that. But yeah, I think it's unfortunately very common, at least in my world.
Yeah.
Ours isn't quite that bad, but we do have a lot of no-shows. I'm not seeing a whole lot more no-shows for interviews than we have in the past. And I don't think we're at 2/3 of no-shows for interviews.
Yeah. In my Dallas location, we are definitely at 2/3. In Jacksonville, it's about half. What we have done to kind of combat that is we've tried to beat it with volume by opening up our online self-scheduler. Not something I'd really love to do, because the pre-screen in before inviting someone in is something that we've relied on for a long time. But at this point in time, it's really been volume and numbers, and opening up that self-scheduler has created even more higher no-show rate. But I'm at least getting the number of people I need to fill the classes. So it's really not a great practice to do that, but in these times you have to be kind of a chameleon and do what you got to do. So we've been forced to, and there is no real, to me, there's no real reasoning behind it, because it used to be you would have to show the unemployment office that you're applying for jobs. And when you were, now that's not even, on the table. So I don't have a great explanation. It's almost like people want to work, but like you said, it's just, they wake up the next morning and say, man, maybe I'll just ride this out a couple more weeks. So on the no-shows though, what I've noticed, and this has been helpful, what we're doing right now is we're taking the list of no-shows and we're having people in operations that are excited, that know our culture, actually call the no-shows and say, we're sorry you missed your interview. It's obvious you want to work. We would love to have you. We have an awesome place. Can we get you back on the books? Again, something we would have never done in the past is to chase a no-show interview. But again, in these times, those times calls for those measures. So we're doing it.
And you're having success with that?
We are. We're getting our numbers. That again, at the end of the day, we're able to get our classes filled for our clients. And are they the same type of quality that we're used to? No, they're not. I'm very excited to see states like Iowa, Alabama, and others jump up and tell them we're not paying this $300 extra a week for unemployment anymore. That should obviously help all of us as that expands, but it is helping. Is it getting a great percentage back into the building? No, but when 5 to 7 agents matter for a class, it's been worth it.
Yeah, that's a huge thing here in Illinois also, is I'm hoping that once that extra on the unemployment is finally, taken back, that people will then again need, because we always talk about, we like employees that need to work, that want to work, they need to, they have to have the drive, whatever, because if you find somebody that just, I guess I'll work, well, they're not going to, so we like to find the people that need to work, that we can, you know, we can benefit from, and they can benefit from us also, you know, with everything that we offer. I mean, even with the plethora of options we have as far as 401k, health insurance, dental, vision, you know, pay time off, flex scheduling, like all of these wonderful things that we offer. And in the town that we're in, you know, it's only 12,000 people. It's still hard to find anybody to work when you're just throwing all of these extras at them, you know? So it's extremely frustrating. It's like beating your head against a wall, you know? I don't know. I'm just hoping, like you said, Gordon, when that extra comes off of that unemployment, that maybe that'll spark some work interest.
One of the challenges that we always have challenges this time of year, because you know, a good portion of our workforce is moms. And so a lot of the moms, as they struggle with finding summer care for their kids, they just drop out of the workforce for the summer. This year, it's even harder because there's a financial incentive to drop out of the workforce for the summer with the additional $300. You know, there's also the challenge of the COBRA subsidy. I don't know if you guys are dealing with the COBRA subsidy issue, where not only do they make more money on unemployment, but they get free COBRA until September. It was hidden in the stimulus package. So we had to notify all of our termed employees that goes back 18 months that, yeah, you can sign up for COBRA now and it'll be free.
Wow.
So that's been a challenge. We do the self-scheduling as well, Gordon, and we've had a pretty good rate of success with the self-scheduling. We have more people showing up for their interviews and more people, more connects. We call them connects, because, you know, as you go through resumes and you leave messages, you know, only 20% of people are going to call you back. We've had a much higher percentage of connects with the self-scheduling because it goes right out through text. And so we've had more success with that. So we're able to talk to more people. We're able to really be very persuasive about what we're looking for. But one of the things that we found, and this was very interesting to me, first mover advantage really matters. From the time you make your first connection with a candidate to the time that you have an offer for them, 72 hours is the norm right here in Wisconsin. So our process has to go much, much faster. And that's okay, we can make that happen. But the self-scheduling becomes real critical when you're trying to reach a 72-hour cycle time to hire.
Gordon, there was a question that came in about the people you're reaching out to, the no-shows, the ones that end up coming. And are you noticing a higher turnover rate with them, or is the turnover rate pretty consistent?
So we just started that about a month ago. Yeah. And, you know, I'll tell you that so far it's been good, because once they're in the building and they're employees, I have far more control over their future with the company. Just simply based on what we're doing internally to keep employees and to keep them happy. So I believe once they're here, it doesn't really matter how we got them. We're going to do what it takes, and it's going to impact those employees no differently, depending on how they actually were hired. And I'd like to also add that we have even gone for some of my BPO clients. We've had very large classes to fill. We have criteria that's done in our internal iSIM system that will notify the best applicants of an offer straight away. It's direct offering. And again, another crazy thought that we would do that, but it's been successful, a little bit helpful to fill some of those larger classes. But once they're in the building, I think we all have more control over how they attrit. And so I don't think that we're seeing any more turnover on those hires than we would a direct hire.
Yeah, I don't think we are either. Our turnover kind of stays the same. We have a couple of folks that will leave within the first week because the job feels a little hard, or the reality is they're still in the labor market those first couple of months. So their resume is still out there. So other recruiters are continuing to call them. But that hasn't really changed a lot. We do a lot once they get in the door, and we do a lot the week before they start. We reach out to candidates, tell them how excited we are to have them join. Starting day is on a Monday, and very often HR will work on Sunday and be manning the phones if folks are having last minute questions, or especially if they're remote. I can't get into my computer. Can you help me? It's made a huge difference to have somebody answer that phone on a Sunday afternoon at 2:00 when they're nervous.
I just want to hit the pause button briefly on our conversation and say a few words about TCN, the sponsor of today's webinar. TCN, a global provider of comprehensive cloud-based call center platform for enterprises, contact centers, BPOs, and collection agencies, this week announced the launch of TCN Operator, the next generation of its flagship program. Built for the modern call center, TCN Operator features an intuitive interface and comprehensive set of easy-to-use automated agent tools and advanced apps that all work together to boost agent productivity and improve customer experience. TCN Operator's features include omnichannel communications via voice, email, and SMS and text that provide a seamless, unified experience for agents to interact with consumers, business intelligence reporting analytics that provide a 360-degree view of a call center operations to identify anomalies or trends and generate actionable insights, data management and compliance tools that ensure adherence to the TCPA, FDCPA, and other state and federal regulations, including new and updated debt collection rules issued by the CFPB, workforce engagement to manage all aspects of call center operations, including scheduling, forecasting, onboarding and training, evaluating performance and productivity, and documenting compliance, and the seamless integration and automation with third-party services and applications. Grounded in TCN's deep understanding of call centers' needs, TCN Operator is built on the company's vast experience in supporting billions of interactions every year between call center agents and customers. For more information on TCN Operator, please visit the link I just put in the chat window. So thanks again to TCN for sponsoring today's webinar. All right, we've had a number of questions that have come in asking about sign-on bonuses and anything that you're doing over and above sort of saying, hey, do you want to come work here to new hires to get them to say yes. So curious to see if any of you have tried anything like that and whether or not any of those ideas are working. Judy, we'll start with you.
Yeah, we have retention bonuses that are paid out over a period of time. So that has helped. And we only pay it out if they're still there. So it's kind of a win-win on both sides. So we do have retention bonuses. We also have wage progression. So once you're on board, once you've gotten through training, and once you are starting to meet the goals of the job, or the scorecard is what we call it, they, after a period of months, they get regular raises in the first year. That makes a big difference.
Yeah, we do that also with the pay increases, you know, starting pretty early, just to kind of keep them going. We don't do any sort of sign-on bonuses with the actual, you know, the applicant coming in, but we do referral bonuses for our employees, where we'll pay out, you know, $100 for the first referral, and then after they're here for $100 after 90 days, and then after 6 months we'll give them another $200. So that gives them incentive to find, you know, to put their name behind somebody that they hope will, you know. And it always helps too. I find friends of employees seem to work out better because they have that friend that works here and that is, you know, deep in the trenches, that can tell exactly how it goes down here. You know, and we've started even in our interview process where we'll say, okay, sit down and kind of watch what we do, you know, realize that this is the actual job, instead of starting and saying, oh, well, I didn't want to sit in a chair all day. Okay, well, you know, don't waste my time, don't waste your own time, like, see what it is. Right. So, and I find that helps too, you know, and just making them, you know, people comfortable, like, just, if this isn't for you, tell me up front, you know, that's fine. It's not for everybody. So, right. But we do have a lot of success with our employee referrals, you know, the retention of those employees.
Yeah, we have a nice referral program as well that pays out over a period of time for the first year. So we call it a referral and a retention bonus, because the employee, all of our employees are part of retention. And so if they're going to refer someone, we want them to have a little bit of skin in the game to help retain them. So we certainly pay something out after the first 30 days, and then throughout the course of the year, And this year we just launched if they're still here the week before Christmas, you'll get the last big tranche right before Christmas to do some Christmas shopping. And that's been fun too. It's been fun thinking about it. The early days that an employee starts, we work really hard to make I always say we work really hard to make them fall in love with us. And so those first 2 weeks of in-class training, leaders throughout the company are popping into the new hire training, saying hi to folks, sharing stories of how we started, fun stories of how we all engage with each other. And we're even doing it real successfully in a remote environment. We have a meet and greet with every new hire class where we join those new hire classes and we put eyes on folks, even if those eyes are through a Zoom meeting. And that's been real successful because people will send us emails and say, oh, I saw you on the Zoom meeting. Can you help me with this? So they know who to reach out to rather than just engaging with, the person in new hire that does the orientation or their trainer. They can actually reach out to me, or they can reach out to Tim, or they can reach out to Tracy because they met them. And that's been a big help.
You mentioned the word remote, Judy, so I'm going to transition there. I'm curious, looking at your workforces, how many are working remote versus, especially on the new hire side, which is what we're talking about today, but also, are any of you looking beyond your sort of traditional geographic footprint in hiring workers, outside of, who won't ever come into a call center, one of your centers, because you just don't have one in those areas? Megan, let's start with you.
We are absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead, Judy.
Yeah, we are absolutely doing that, Mike. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay.
But yeah, we're absolutely doing that. We are hiring in lots of different geographies where it makes sense to do so. And those are folks who will never come into the office. Right now, we have between 85 and 90% of our employees are working remotely, even folks who are close to a geographic office. So we're doing all of that sort of thing. And it's important to remember that we're not just competing in the Madison, Wisconsin market now. We're competing with the entire country for labor because that's where we're recruiting in Florida. We're recruiting in, all kinds of different areas. And so you set your recruiting strategy and your staffing strategy to be, let's just call it global, even though it's not overseas, rather than local. And it does change. It changes the strategy.
We haven't looked outside of our geographic footprint yet. I will say that, when COVID did hit and we all had to, disperse and get home and everything, I feel like actually for our company, that was a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about retention. I mean, if you can put them at home to work, they're happy. I mean, they're happy as hell. They're just tootling right along. They don't have to put on clothes. They don't have to do, so that really helped. Now, when we did bring in some new employees, which you had to kind of figure out, how do you bring in and train with COVID and all of this? So we kept it pretty small, our first one, and we have a pretty, standards that you have to meet as far as time with the company and everything before we will let you go remote, to home. But it all worked out so well for us. And I felt like that we were getting so much more production out of our current staff when they got to go home that we kind of just thought, well, let's just wait this out then, and we'll see. So, but we're still, we're not going. I know there was a question about going, out of the country for, help, or I forget what country it was, but we're not doing anything like that. We're keeping it local with just who we can find here in good old Taylorville.
Yeah.
Mike, we've definitely hired outside of our area. We had to, in February, ramp 3,000 agents in a matter of 30 days for a company called Tidal Basin for the Florida Vaccine Hotline that really caught us off guard. It's a part of a initiative by our parent company, and it was a great learning experience. We realized that with the right management, you can hire from anywhere. There's really are no boundaries now. I've always been a big brick and mortar guy. I'm not big on remote, although in certain scenarios it does and can be very productive. It's also worked out for many companies. So I have about 300 remote employees now. And many of them are located in the cities where we have brick and mortar, but there are a good number that are from without that. And we've been able to find some really nice pockets geographically with some really good employees by doing it that way. So in preparation for the future and what the future may hold, it's nice to know now that we are no longer bound by the borders of our counties or our states, and that we can and will find employees no matter where we have to go to do it. So yes, the answer is absolutely.
So Jody and Gordon, if you're hiring outside of the areas you normally hire, how are you advertising these jobs? Are you doing it all online? Are you looking at different sources than you may have looked at in the past?
Yeah, yes and yes. We're doing a lot of it online. We're targeting specific geographic areas. So we're being real strategic about what geographic areas we target. And we target areas that have a higher unemployment rate, that are areas where the wage rates are the wage rates that we're looking for. And then we target those areas in all of our different websites that we post to. We also are targeting specific areas on diversity websites, and our diversity websites has been a good boost for us, reaching specific areas. So yeah, we do it all online. We do it all virtually. We do our interviewing through Zoom. All of the HR folks have cameras where we get a chance to chat with folks. We do our simulation testing. It's all done online. So we're able to do cradle to grave recruiting within the 72 hours completely online.
So how do you do it? A quick question on that. How do you do it then with like equipment? Your company, do you ship equipment, or
we do?
You do that, huh?
We do.
I still feel like I personally need that warm and fuzzy from the person before I say, okay, here's all our stuff. Now go sit in your living room and take payments. Have access to credit. Like I still have that hesitation where I'm like, so the thought of like, oh, hiring somebody in California, and I haven't wrapped my head around that yet, but I haven't had to yet. So it's good to know you have, Judy. So
we have so many touch points that we know these people before they start. Even though it's only 72 hours, it's still a week after the offer that we're still having touch points with them, because we schedule a meeting before they actually start training, where we do the I-9s and where we do all of the paperwork, and we do quite frankly, half of our new hire orientation happens before the Monday of training. So we know them. We're able to, as best as you can, warm and fuzzies and get to know folks. So yeah, we ship the equipment out. We talk to them the weekend before they start, helping them get set up. Yeah, it all works pretty well. We're getting a lot of chats here about focusing ads. We've had some real challenge. Some of the online posting sites, we can target a specific geography. Both of our two main sites, we can target specific geographies.
We also had a question come in asking if anybody has used social media to broadcast positions and whether there's been success at that.
Facebook.
Yep.
I'm telling you, Facebook has been like our number one. And like I said, we're just, hiring here, nowhere else, but Facebook, I'll post it and I'll have all of our current collectors share it. And then, the emails just start coming in. I mean, we've tried, different companies, but I really find, since we're not looking outside of our location, that Facebook does the job and it's free.
Yeah, we actually do paid ads on Facebook, and you can target geography.
Right.
Yeah, somebody asked what program we use for the I-9. We don't use a specific program for the I-9.
And then there was a question asking if you pay people when they're setting up their equipment prior to their first start date.
We don't pay people when they're setting up their equipment, but we do pay people when we do their I-9. So there's usually an hour of pay before the Monday start date, where we go through the I-9 and all of the other paperwork, because they will get the link to fill this information out. A link to our site and then we walk them through it. For the I-9, somebody in their home has to, we deputize somebody in their home to validate their I-9, and they do it on Zoom. You're permitted to show the ID on Zoom, and then somebody signs on it.
Okay. I'm trying to get through some of the questions here, as well as some of them that have been asked that I have on my list to get through. There was one comment that I thought was interesting, and that was the local vaccine center allowed someone to put a help wanted sign.
Yeah.
Fires.
That was very interesting. And yeah, I'm going to start looking at that as soon as we get off this call.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that before. In regards to job postings, have you noticed if longer or shorter ads work better? Say more or say less?
Say less.
Preference?
I'm a less.
We've done a little bit of all, but
Yeah, we have
I
to.
think the less is better. There's so many options. Everybody's looking to hire right now. Again, with especially in our demographic and who we're hiring, there are a lot of options. So, reading through a bunch when there's a whole bunch to read through, we found that shorter is better.
Yeah, we also found that bold right at the top is eye-catching. The wage at the top, the environment, and we change those eye-catching, elevator speech words right at the beginning so that it doesn't get stale.
It used to just be that you could, look under everybody just went to the help wanted, and it didn't matter what your ad said as long as you were offering a job. Now it's like you're competing with, McDonald's and, everybody else. It's, people, the employees can be, they're choosy, it's like an employee, what do you call that? Like a hiring or a employee market. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like a buyer's market, a seller's market. It's their market to find us.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, we talked about sort of the issues with getting applicants in
applicants market. There we go.
Interview.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you having just as much problems getting the applications to come in, or are you finding that the ads that you're putting out and the referrals and all the other programs you're doing are getting a decent number of applications in the door?
Depends on the geography for us. There are certain geographies where we're doing very well with a high number of applications and a high number of connects, the hit rate, the connect rate. Some geographies are really good and some are challenging. And some of the ones that are challenging are areas where 2 years ago we did great in.
I completely agree. Depends on the area. I tell you, the applications is what kind of, in a lot of areas, it's really what makes it discouraging is you see people want to work. Why aren't they showing for the interview? That's what we've all been facing.
Yeah. Yep.
You mentioned compressing the window. Did that take a lot of adjustments in your office to be able to sort of get all of that, get them through the process in that 72 hours you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah, we had to add staff to HR to make sure that happens. We had to really compress the information that we send to the candidate so that the time that we spend with them is valuable. It's been a good thing with the candidate because they hear everything that they need to hear. But we have had to compress, not eliminate, but we have had to compress the way we do things.
Megan, Gordon, are you finding that as well, that the time frame from when an application comes in to when an offer goes out or gets accepted is shortening?
Oh shoot, if I get a warm and fuzzy, I'm just hiring them on the spot. There's no 72 hours, Yep, yeah. You like it, you like the job, you want to try it, good, you're hired. Start Monday.
Yeah. So
yeah, we don't do that. We've tried not to do that. We want to make sure that when they start, they're going to stay. So for us, it's a delicate balance, Megan, right? We know right away if we want somebody to join the company, but we also want to make sure that we don't move too fast.
Yeah, in my scenario, there are collections slightly different than BPO, where we have clients that want to roster 12 days prior to their start date for credentialing. And that really complicates things, because right now, if somebody does want to work, we want to get them quick and make sure that, we have had to really change a lot of things in the way that we communicate with applicants that we have offered, to ensure that we're communicating throughout the entire process, to ensure that they're going to show and that they're excited to show. They're going to accept a job if they're looking to work, even if it is 2 weeks down the road, 3 weeks, and in some cases, 30 days down the road. Doesn't mean they're going to show up. They're going to keep looking in case something can happen much faster. So that has been another big challenge, especially on the BPO side.
Yeah, I see a question here about ADA requirements. We have seen a big increase in ADA claims. And honestly, some of these ADA claims are even in the first 2 or 3 weeks. So I've seen a big increase in it. And I don't know why.
What kind of claims are you seeing?
Yeah, folks that need more time off to care for a disability or an illness. That's mostly what it is. It's attendance based, where a new hire may be missing 2 or 3 days in the first 60 days, and as we sit down with them to find out what's going on and what we can do to help them, there's a disclosure of an ADA issue.
Okay. Going back to what we were talking about with using online services to get applications in. Someone wants to know if you're, Judy, I think you said you're using paid, but maybe you're using free. With that, they ask for how much you're spending, but you don't have to give that information if you don't want to. But maybe just talk a little bit about how companies should maybe budget if they wanted to boost an ad on social media.
Yeah, I mean, our budget's changing all the time. All the time. We used to have a budget of $100 in paid Facebook. Let's just use Facebook for an example. 2 years ago, it was $100 for a weekend. We typically will put something on Facebook on Friday for the weekend, and then it comes down again on Monday, and 100 would give us a huge reach in each different geography. We just had to increase that a couple of weeks ago. Okay. So honestly, I'm making decisions on a week-to-week basis based on how many resumes come in. Do we need to spend a little bit more on all of our paid sites?
Okay. Another question, can they discuss how they word the advertisements for employment? Judy, you were talking about bold letters, put the salary up front. We talked about sort of less maybe being better than more, but Megan, what are some of the phrases or words that you've used in your ads that have worked better than others?
Flex scheduling, paid time off, competitive salary.
Yeah.
And it used to be, we used to live in the world where, if you could find a job that had a decent pay and you got health and dental and vision, like you had hit the mother load, and now it just seems like these days, like, I hate to say millennials, because believe it or not, I'm not that far from them. But they don't care anymore. It's like, I don't understand. Like, nobody cares about retirement, nobody cares about matched 401k or, anything like that. So really, when I go to throw something out there, I'm just now throwing the words that I think these kids want to hear, pay time off, flex scheduling, happy work environment, we've got, like the benefits, because it seems like the benefits that we would have thought were benefits, these kids coming up, and I don't know what that is, I don't know if it's because now you can stay on mommy and daddy's insurance till you're 26, or, I mean, I'm not personally going to do that. I'm booting mine at 19. But so I don't know, when it comes to advertising, I'm really just trying to push out there whatever they want to hear, just to hopefully get them in for an interview.
We found family. We have 3 words: food, family, fun. And so we use the family. I mean, we're a family company. We've been around for a long time, and our president is the grandson of the founder of the company. And we talk the talk and walk the walk right from the very, very beginning. And family is starting to family has always resonated, even with the younger folks that we're hiring. We like to have fun and we like to eat. So we really kind of push, our employees tell us all the time, food, family, fun, relationships. The young folks really want a relationship with their colleagues. They want somebody that they can chat with. We use Teams chat, and we use other chat things so that employees can chat with each other. Even if they're not in the office, they can still chat with each other.
I remember a webinar I did on this, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago, and one of the panelists was talking about how they had started using the younger people in the office and running the ads by them first before putting it out there, just to see if the ad would resonate with them if they were still in the market for a job. I remember this person saying that had worked really well in terms of getting the wording right for attracting that type of demographic, that type of worker. So it's another interesting tip.
We use our ambassadors that way. We run different things by our ambassadors, folks who want to represent the company, and they've been a help to us for not just recruiting. And when we do drop-in interview days, we actually had our first drop-in interview day last week in over a year, and it was pretty successful. And our ambassadors help us with that. They greet folks. They kind of talk about their story and where they came from. So we do use our ambassadors for that.
What's a drop-in day?
Somebody asked a question about if we change our interview questions to make them more fun or interesting. Several years ago, we had a company come in and just kind of talk about fun culture and fun interview questions. And one of the interview questions that we ask is, and it takes candidates right off and it gets them in a more relaxed frame of mind, red vines or Twizzlers. And people will say, what? Yeah, red vines or Twizzlers. I can't stand red vines, but I love Twizzlers. What do you think?
Never even heard of
And
red
we'll
vines.
kind of start the interview that way. I know you're laughing, Megan, but it's fun.
No, I was just saying I've never heard of red vines, so I'd probably be like, well.
They taste like wax. It's nasty.
Oh,
I'm
That is
watching
fun,
about Twizzlers too.
You like Twizzlers too? I love Twizzlers.
Either, actually. So I don't know how I would answer that question if somebody asked me in an interview, because I don't know. I don't care for either of them.
Oh, you don't care for either? Our employee, and at Halloween time, we asked candy corn or butterscotch. It just kind of sets the tone for the interview, because we want our employees to have fun at work. We want them to make a difference, but we want them to have fun. And so when their first interaction with us is, hey, let's talk about candy, it's kind of fun.
Sure, I like that. There was another person looking at the phrasing of ads, said they used something called a goodbye Sam ad. Sam was a great worker. Sam performed X. Can you fill Sam's shoes? We were swamped with responses. So
yeah, I like that.
It's a good one. So this isn't the first time I've done a hiring webinar, and over the years it's been interesting, this question, about whether you're interested in hiring someone who's previously worked at a collection agency, because by and large it seems like most people don't want those types of people. They want people maybe with customer service experience or things like that, but they don't want anybody who's been a collector before, because you're not kind of sure what kind of habits you're picking up. And I'm curious, if the labor market is this tight, if that dynamic is still in play, or if if you have someone with experience, are you willing to take them right away? As long as they give you the warm and fuzzies, Megan.
Oh, I'll say for us, being where we're located, we don't have a whole lot of applicants that have a call center. We do have a call center actually directly behind our building here. They're not in necessarily the collections kind of call center world. And we do get quite a few from there, which I love, because they're a different atmosphere, a different type of company over there. So then they come over to us, and we've got the food and the fun and the family and, paid time off and all this stuff. But we have had a few, and I personally prefer no experience. I prefer to train them the way we like it done, just because we pride ourselves on being the nice guy collection agency, but you get some that have been trained not to be that nice guy, and it's more, it's harder to break the old habits than to just, train them straight off the bat the way I want it done. So I still, even with things the way they are, I still prefer a clean slate.
From my perspective, at this point, I'm willing to take either. Again, we all like to mold them our own way, but right now, I just beggars can't be choosers, and we will take them a lot sooner now than we would have a year ago with experience.
We have never had a particular philosophy of not hiring experienced or hiring experienced. We really make hiring decisions based on the strength of the interview, based on the strength of the application, and we're not doing anything different now. Somebody asked about hiring inexperienced people fresh out of school. We do have relationships with the local schools, the local two-year colleges, the local high schools, and we really want to talk to those folks because someone may have a fire in the belly and may be a great employee.
How do you set up those relationships? Like what's involved with that usually?
Yeah, engaging with the career centers is one way, but the other way is one of our local two-year colleges that's very successful here in the Wisconsin area. I actually sit on their board, their collaboration between business and school. And this board, and it's not just me, it's a bunch of people from industry and not just HR people. We actually help them develop the curriculum so that their candidates, that their students can leave school being qualified to work and getting some information. We can get in front of the classrooms. We don't do it very often. We certainly haven't done it in a year. But this collaboration with these two-year schools has been real successful.
We've talked about compensation a little bit, but there was a question asking if anybody has increased the starting pay to attract better candidates.
Yep.
Yeah, significantly.
With the minimum wage going up, we're going to be there before too long anyway. So
Right.
It's kind of like, let's just get them excited about it right now. And then, because we're going to be there anyway. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
And you said significantly, Gordon?
Yeah, just like anything, I mean, you get what you pay for. And
Right.
if we really want to build careers, we have to find a way. I mean, let's face it, this has and always probably will be a commission-oriented business, but our audience now and the demographic that we are working with, they love the instant gratification. Trying to build commission collectors is more challenging than it's ever been. And yes, it's a great business to write your own check if you become great at what you do. But at the same time, being able to provide them a somewhat livable wage on the front end can really help people invest themselves to not look down the street for another 50 cents an hour. That and a good culture combine to basically keep your retention high and your attrition low.
Right.
Do you have any sort of, Gordon, do you have any sort of, like if you have a good collector, that comes and says, I can't do this, I'm a single mom, I need to budget my bills, I can't do this commission, to retain a good employee like that, do you have a commissionless program set up for your employees?
We don't, but if it's somebody that I need to keep that needs an extra buck an hour, what we're going to do is we're going to provide them with that extra buck an hour. I'm not going to let him or her go. But what we are going to do is we're going to hold them accountable for a quota, and we're going to do what we got to do to get them there. Generally, if someone is hitting the numbers, then our program for raises has already put them, is giving them raises based on what they're performing at. And of course, their budgets rise or fall with that. So, but if somebody is at a point where maybe they're not hitting that number, but I risk losing them, I'm not going to lose them. I'm going to give them the money. Yeah,
because we came across this probably about a year and a half ago with one of our longtime great employees, that just said, basically, I can't do it anymore. Like, I'm going to have to find something else because this, up 1 month, down the next month, it was just too much. So we actually came up with a pretty basic, 12-month, average, and then kind of build that into their hourly. And we've had a couple now do it, and it seems to work. It seems to work out great because, we're getting what we need still out of them, and they're getting the security that they feel like they need in their financial world. So I was just curious if anybody else did anything, because like you said, this is primarily a commission-driven business. So, I was just curious on how you did that.
Somebody just actually asked, a great question related. I mean, what do you find better? Do you find the higher wage is better versus the commission? And I think to answer that best, I think the higher wage does a better job of attracting new employees.
Mhm.
But if someone were to come in and have to choose between higher wages and commission, they might be less likely to do that after they've been there 6 months and they see people around them making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 bonus checks. My philosophy is we use tax season to make collectors out of people. When they get into, especially for those newer ones that haven't reached a tax season yet, getting them to bonus and to taste that third check of the month, never looking back from that point is what we drive every tax season to accomplish. In the glory days, we didn't have to work so hard. That commission was just like car sales. Collections was no different. You collected, you got paid. But nowadays, again, with the instant gratification and the competitive wages around us, we want to get people to bonus as quickly as possible so they don't worry about their regular pay. That's just, to them, that's just, kind of the foundation. They're really there changing their lifestyle based on their bonus check. And when you've got a group of people that are all there that end up needing that bonus to survive, that's when you've won in this industry.
So questions, and Mike, I hope you don't mind. I'm
Go ahead.
I'm going to take your role here for a hot minute. So another question then on that. Did you find, like, with your old employees, new employees, everything, that morale was so much higher this last year? Because, and I'm sure it's the case all over because I know it was for us, but every time a stimulus check hit, it was like another little tax time.
Yeah.
I mean, my staff was like, what is, the ones especially that have been here forever that know you maybe during tax time got a 6-8 week period that you're just booming. But when it lasted 3.5 months, everybody was excited. Everybody wanted to work here. Everybody wanted to work overtime. Everybody, that really boosted our company morale, having that more extended time of collecting those big dollars,
That was truly awesome to watch because the agents a lot of times were also getting the stimulus personally.
Yeah.
So that and the big bonus checks, and they're making money, they're feeling good. And yes, we were able to ride that wave in an otherwise difficult time. I mean, we have been brick and mortar the whole time. And, that is, no matter how loyal or how great of a culture during COVID, if somebody were to get it, or, the fears of dealing with that and the things that we had to do and invest in to combat that, it was nice to be able to see them with money in their pocket at least. And I'm very proud, as many of you are very proud of your people for sticking in and getting through this. And we still have a ways to go, but I think that the worst is behind us. Unfortunately, now we have to worry about things like decisions from our judges and other things, but at least we, for the most part, were able to muscle through the COVID environment.
Yeah, we found the same thing with the stimulus and like you said, muscling through COVID. We changed the mix of our collectors. So we were able to have a higher base wage because we needed that for attraction, just like you said, Gordon. And the commission structure is still very attractive, but so we found a good balance so that our existing employees are happy and productive and we're able to attract new folks into the company.
And we keep a good watch on that with our employees,
You do too.
kind of their margin, if we do a report every month, are we losing money on them? Are we making money on them?
Right.
How much money are we making on them? Are they up for another raise? Are they being rock stars? So we monitor all that pretty well. But I definitely think when it comes to new hires that it's hourly over commission. Commission scares a lot of people. You know, I almost don't
know,
even
it
want to
does.
say it. I almost want to say, you know what? Here's $15 an hour. Come on. You know, because you say, oh, and commission. Well, you know,
Right.
it's a take back. The commission word's a scary word.
Yeah, we do both commission and bonus for collectors. So we have quality type bonuses for our collectors plus commission. But you're right, it is a little bit of a scary word. So we had to get that. And especially throughout the summer when everybody was throwing out $15 an hour, $15 an hour, that became the expectation, whether the labor law was passed or not. That became the floor for candidates because that's what they heard, $15 an hour. So we had to do something to make it attractive and yet still maintain that culture of performance with commission and bonus.
Yeah, I gave a bonus. I rented a bus trip. I rented a bus for a little, for all of my employees. Sorry, we didn't have a Christmas get together last year. I got us a bus.
Yeah, we did all of our,
We're so fun.
we did our Christmas stuff online. We did our visits, our children's party visits to Santa. We did that all online.
Yep.
And it was good.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot, mostly this hour, about how bad things are, difficult things are right now. Let's spend the last 2 minutes looking forward. Do any of you think that things are going to get easier? Are they going to remain challenging? You know, are you starting to see any changes, or do you foresee any changes on the horizon in terms of the challenges you're facing now, finding and hiring, you know, qualified candidates?
I think for
I
brick
think
and
it's going to
mortar,
get easier in September when the kids go back to school. You know, when kids go back to school, folks can be more comfortable going to work. So I think that's going to happen. We're finding better quality candidates when we can get them through the process and get them hired. They're better quality candidates. So that it's fewer, but they're better. And so there's hope there, right?
I think work from home will continue to make it very difficult for brick and mortar. I do feel many companies will go back to the office, but at the same time, you know, there will be companies that have had success with this that will absolutely stay work from home. With more work from home available, you know, to the workforce by nature, it's going to make it very at least a little bit more complicated for brick and mortar to attract, because you're taking what was a piece of the pie and making that pie bigger. You know, the people that want to work from home now, that love working from home, may never look for a job again that's in the office, may never do that. They're saving on gas, they're saving on childcare, they can sleep in later. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to it. Mm-hmm. Where I think they're missing out is, you know, a potential quicker fast track to a actual career in this business. I think they're missing out on the culture and the family aspect that we've all instilled in our companies to be competitive and to have fun, as you say. But this past year, I think, does change the landscape, at least for the immediate future, for brick and mortar more than anything.
Yeah. You're right, for sure, Gordon. That's exactly what we're seeing.
People are going to be looking for jobs now where they can work from home. And,
yep.
And, you know, as long as you got it all set up and ready.
Yeah. Yep.
Excellent. Well, unfortunately, we have run out of time, so we have to wrap things up. But Megan, Judy, Gordon, thank you so much for your time and your expertise and your willingness to share with the audience today. On behalf of everybody who's listening and watching and can't articulate their thanks on their behalf, I want to thank you for taking the time with us today. This was a great conversation. Also want to thank TCN one last time for sponsoring today's webinar. Check them out at tcn.com. There's a link that I put in the chat window. It should also pop up on your screen when I end the webinar to share your feedback on the event, as well as any other ideas you want to see in an upcoming webinar. I'm planning June's webinar in the next couple of days. So if there's something you want to see, let me know and I'll do my best to get it on the calendar for next month. We're back tomorrow. Friday, we're talking about charitable giving and community service in collection agencies and how best to set those types of operations up. So if you haven't signed up for that, there's a link on the events calendar for Accounts Recovery on accountsrecovery.net to do that. So that'll wrap things up for today. For the rest of I hope everyone enjoys the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Panel, great job. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.